Good evening and welcome to First at 5 from WFT News. I'm Chris Will. You know, I was hoping to go to the Springs this weekend, but it sounds like it may not be the best weekend to do that. How's that cold front retract? I was just in St. Louis for a wedding and it was awfully cold, but it would appear that weather seems to be following me to Gainesville. That's right, meet Juan Gilbert, the UF computer science professor, was given the National Medal of Technology and Innovation. Well, Elena, you know what they say, everything's always bigger in Texas, and that's exactly what SpaceX went for as they attempted to launch the most powerful rocket ever. Help is coming to those battling with substance abuse today. A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held for a new rehabilitation facility. The governor's handpicked tourism oversight board is asserting it has superior power to the last-minute deals between Disney and the old Reedy Creek Improvement Board. Yeah, we have some tips and tricks to save you money as you plan your next vacation. Plus, personalized learning could be coming to classrooms near you. Those facing the death penalty no longer need a unanimous verdict to be executed. Today, Governor DeSantis signed a bill to allow death sentences by a jury vote of 8-4 or higher. Florida is calling for a special meeting to address a chairman facing a sexual assault investigation. Christian Ziegler, the Republican Party of Florida's chairman, is accused of sexually assaulting a woman in October. He's denied any wrongdoing and refused to step down despite calls from Governor Ron DeSantis to give up his role. Yeah, Jacob, the network to fight these crimes can be very extensive. On the front lines of fighting child porn, you'll find the ICAC teams. ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children, and there's one task force based right here in Gainesville with 60 more nationwide. If you take a close look, though, you'll see that they face an incredible challenge. The Internet, always on, connecting me with you and millions of others.
We are always operating 2 steps behind because of the way that the internet works.
Crimes happening behind closed doors, buried in the depths of the World Wide Web.
We rely upon parents, kids, and these companies, the tech companies themselves, to monitor and report things that they become concerned about.
A watchful eye, a helpful tip. A catalyst that uncovers possible wrongdoing investigated by these men and women. The Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force.
So our focus is preventing and investigating the online exploitation of children.
But the internet is global.
I think the biggest thing is people need to realize it happens everywhere in every community.
Which makes catching these criminals even harder.
The issues of child exploitation online are only growing, and they're probably only, unfortunately, going to get worse.
Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, better known as ICAC, fights internet-based crimes with the National Network of Law Enforcement Agencies. Of the 61 federally funded units spread across the United States, Gainesville serves as the headquarters for North Florida. And the extent of that network stretches from big tech companies all the way to local police departments. For example, a social media giant like Facebook receives a report about an image on its platform. It would then send that tip to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They then look into the case to see where the individual or group might reside. And if the crime does occur in North Florida, the contact is the ICAC headquarters at GPD. Investigators like Christopher King then determine the proper county and contact the specific department to assign them the case. Cases like the one of Jalen Kitna. The 19-year-old's arrest came after a Discord account believed to belong to the former University of Florida quarterback was flagged by the online platform.
It used to be years ago that there was the stranger danger concern, and it's the creepy-looking van that drives by in the neighborhood. When actuality is that your child has a much and far greater chance of being exploited online than anything happening in person.
A statement from the Gainesville Police Department revealed that Kitna believed the images to be legal and that his Discord account was deactivated. It's the latest in an alarming trend for ICAC in North Central Florida. After receiving just under 2,000 tips in 2017, that number has quadrupled in just 5 years, totaling nearly 8,000 tips in 2022.
If you wanted to list 5 sites that you're familiar with, I could probably tell you that we've received cyber tips from those providers.
With the bulk of investigations being under what King calls the age-questionable range.
The unfortunate reality is a lot of our actionable investigations tend to be prepubescent children. So I kind of want the public to understand that part of it, because oftentimes I think some of these investigations get kind of pushed off to the side and not looked at seriously because they think it's maybe a 16, 17-year-old who's communicating with an 18, 19-year-old.
To help build and bolster the network that deals with these cases, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement hosted the Crimes Against Children Conference in Orlando. With over 800 attendees from across the globe, law enforcement agents, lawyers, judges, and mental health experts had the chance to learn and meet with those involved in the fight against child exploitation.
The internet is not unique to a certain city or county, it's global. And this kind of training like this brings agencies from across the world here to learn the same material, to meet each other and become a much larger network to fight this crime.
It's a fight to bridge the gap between the dark depths of the internet and law enforcement.
It used to be, 15, 20 years ago, maybe a little bit even longer ago, we had to get out of our house to actually have contact with a stranger. But nowadays you can pick up the phone in your pocket right now and have access to thousands of people and millions of people throughout the world.
In 2022, Gainesville police completed 96 total investigations of child exploitation. That number includes 17 arrests from 327 subpoenas and 105 search warrants. As for Kitna, he is currently home in Texas with his family after posting bail. King and his team will still be responsible for the processing of evidence, but the case now turns to the state attorney's office. Jalen Kitna is facing 3 charges of possession and 2 charges of distribution of child pornography. His next date in Alachua County has not yet been set. We'll be back after the break. Since World War II, public opinion surveys have been the staple of political campaigns. But how do they work, and should voters trust them? Let's go back to the year 1948.
To the polls, the voters stream.
Polls predicted Republican Thomas Dewey to be President Harry Truman, but even the newspapers got it wrong, with Truman having the last laugh. Fast forward to 2016.
We must accept this result.
I will be president for all Americans.
And not much has changed. Analysts say pollsters seriously underestimated Trump's popularity among less educated voters, who don't often respond to poll inquiries. The Hill published a survey that showed a majority of Americans don't believe polls are accurate.
You don't know what to believe.
I don't know if they're truly accurate data.
And it's a sentiment that doesn't go unnoticed.
Some people are exceedingly skeptical. Some people probably believe it too much.
As the head of the Public Opinion Research Lab at the University of North Florida, Michael Binder says while most people don't understand polling, you can trust it.
We pay attention to this every day. Most normal people don't.
And at academic institutions across the country,
a student calling from University of North Florida,
students organize political polling questions,
¿Y cuántos años tiene su niño?
calling people listed in voter registration records,
And then what is your age?
which are public,
All right, thank you so much.
and compiling the survey results, which are published by the university. But only 3 to 5 voters out of 100 will actually talk to them. So, what should you, the voter, be most aware of when viewing polls? Find out if those surveyed are registered or likely voters. Likely voters have a steady record of casting ballots. Then, is the poll specific to your state? National polls often contain fewer survey samples from where you live. And, is there a trend showing changes in the race from the same polling firm? The bottom line, though, voters decide elections. Polling is just one tool for tracking political campaigns. We also talk with pollsters who work with political parties exclusively. Those firms are paid by candidates and the parties to gather voter information to guide campaigns. If contacted, you should ask how your survey results will be used before providing answers to their questions.